Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of Your Brain on Hops. This is Chris. I'm here with Tim and Dan tonight, and it's pretty exciting. We have an episode lined up for you that's basically non-beer beers, or also talking about friends that aren't necessarily into beer and how those conversations go when we're out. But first, there's a special beer that we wanted to try on this episode.
We got to have at least one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we got to do it. It's been out for, I don't know, like a year or so, maybe a little less.
They actually do a series. There's multiple beers that these guys do, and they switch out the hops every single time. So this is one part of their beer collection.
Got it. So this beer, much like this podcast, it's called This Is Your Brain on Hops.
Mosaic and Cashmere.
It's from KCBC.
So KCBC, you did it. You finally made a beer just for us.
This is our beer. We in true fashion, I heard that this was specially made for us.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
What other purpose could there be?
That's
that amazing that they love us that much down there.
That's the rumor I heard.
Yes.
I'm especially pleased that they're doing a whole series for us. Yeah. One kind of hop can't capture our awesomeness.
No, it cannot. They actually went through and made a profile for each one of us, and they made a beer for each individual member on the show.
Man.
That's right.
I can't wait for mine.
So the beer itself is super hazy. I cannot see through that glass. That's
like a Buffalo Lake effect.
Well said, Tim. Apropos.
Well, coming in at 8.5, they even say thick golden orange juice haze with a blast of dank pineapple up front.
Yeah, I definitely get the dank pineapple.
I really hope somewhere someone that's eating a pineapple says, "Damn, that shit is dank." I doubt it.
Do you want a dank pineapple?
I don't eat pineapple, so I don't think that.
For shame, it's the god's fruit.
Well, keep it away from my pizza.
Oh, well, yeah.
Well, I'm throwing that out there.
We can all agree on that.
Yeah. Hawaiian pizza's for monsters.
Yeah.
I disagree with all these things.
Then go back under the bed.
Whoa.
Monster under the bed.
Okay, wow.
With a kid reference there.
Sorry.
Wasn't trying to be weird.
No, I just, last weekend, I was like, I want pizza. What am I going to get? I went with sausage, jalapeno, and pineapple.
Okay, that's not Hawaiian pizza.
It was delicious.
Hawaiian pizza is like, it's raw.
Plus, the jalapeno can help defeat some of that awful pineapple on pizza.
Exactly right. Man.
Not on pizza. I love pineapple, especially as an ancillary flavor in beers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
on pizza, awful. No, any hops that can give a bit of pineapple taste to it, I'm all for throwing that in.
Mm-hmm. I gotta say, I think they would have been. This is a pretty cool art for the can, but they probably would have been better off just asking us to use our logo. At the same time, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being ignorant here to other beers I've tried. I don't know if I've had an IPA with cashmere hops. It's a new one to me.
It is a new one for me.
If I have, it's been one or two, but not many.
If it was unbeknownst to me because I wasn't focusing on the hops.
Yeah, the can art is definitely pretty neat.
It is.
There's some metallic glint to it too, which makes you think of some of those old timey comic books where the cover had a metallic glint and you were all excited about it. You're like, oh, it's shiny.
Charizard, you got.
So I gotta give these guys
there you go.
I really do. The brewers and whoever's working down there, and I really do have to give these guys credit because they are nerds. I can their site, everything about these guys just screams. I'm like, okay, you know what? I could probably get along with these guys really well, and maybe one day I will get to meet some of these guys because a lot of their beers are based off of just superheroes or that look of old kind of horror movie-esque. And even then, when you go and read their bios, everything about them and how they present themselves is geek-related. And I'm like, all right. When reading over your bios and everything, I'm like, I respect this. I'm like, this is something I would absolutely do if I ran a brewery.
I don't know if we said this yet. I want to relate it to we got some feedback from a friend of mine, so shout out Abby, about going more in depth with the beer because of all that detail. We don't miss it. It's just we don't always talk about every bit of the individual beer we're having. And I'm not going to say we're going to take any faults on that. It's just sometimes we're enjoying it so much we miss a little bit of minuscule detail. So KCBC is it's the Kings County Brewers Collective based in Brooklyn, New York. And I think if I were to go to Brooklyn right now, I'd probably, and this might be sacrilege, but I would rather go here than Brooklyn Brewery. I know they're one of the standouts or one of the early craft brew people that have been around for a while. But from what I've had from KCBC, I love their stuff. It's pretty darn good, and this is a double dry hopped, double India Pale Ale.
I want to go around. Let's be honest here. No offense to Brooklyn Brewery, but when was the last time any of us had a Brooklyn beer?
That's very true.
I'm a big fan of Sriracha Ace. I think that was the last Brooklyn I had.
What is it, the black chocolate stout, or was it called? Is that am I close?
Yeah,
it's a dark chocolate stout. It's very good.
I know which one you're talking about. But yeah, the Sriracha Ace was very good when it first came out. I just don't remember when was the last time I cracked open a bottle of Brooklyn.
That's fair. Honestly, now I'm kind of curious about Brooklyn Brewery because if they haven't come out with new stuff and I just haven't paying attention,
getting to us.
Yeah,
shame
really.
on me. That's another possibility.
Yes.
Distribution. We might only get their flagships, not some of the interesting things that they're putting out.
True.
I mean, it used to be like they used to be one of the big flagships. You go into any bar and it was usually sitting right next to the Sam Adams.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was always Brooklyn Lager, cherry wheat, the seasonal.
The Sriracha Ace was readily available all the time too. Top shelf of Wegmans right there.
Oh yeah, the big bottle.
Yep.
So
the Ace of Hearts, I believe, on it.
So I think it's time to move on to the rest of our show, which is going to feature those unbeers or non-beers. Basically, beers that don't really taste much like beer. They're not kind of a crisp lager. They're not a hoppy IPA. They have something else going on, whether it's fruit or maybe they don't even use hops. We got a gruit coming up as well.
What?
yes,
What?
So in this case,
That's right. For the folks out there, gruit, a beer made without using hops.
But the name of the podcast is Your Brain on Hops.
All right, so the next beer that we have coming up is Rubaeus from Founders Brewery.
Rubaeus. Rubaeus.
And we have a new intro song.
we blame Logan.
If we were clever enough, we'd have those for every beer, but that would be a lot. And we're not that clever.
Maybe we'll make a new thing. We'll we won't bother our listeners with that, but we'll have a separate channel just for our chance
Beer
of
theme songs.
beer.
So
That's right.
Whoa.
So Chris, this is something you brought to the table. Yes. What piqued your interest about this?
So we were talking about beers that aren't traditional beer, like not a traditional lager, not a traditional IPA, things like that. And Rubaeus, so Founders does this whole raspberry series that I'm a huge fan of. Rubaeus is one of them. They also do Blushing Monk, and I honestly forgot the other one. The other one is
The only one I
can
could
picture
actually
the Golden Ale, I think.
I can picture the
that's right.
can. I can't think of the name.
The only one I could remember was Blushing Monk because when this first came out towards us, when we were at Aurora Brewworks, it was Blushing Monk and Rubaeus. It's kind of side by side. And
That's right. That was
I
the
had and I had the Blushing Monk first, and I thought it was delicious. And I am not really, I guess, on the big sour track, and so when I saw Rubaeus, everyone was like, "Oh, this is great," but Dan, you're not going to like it. It's kind of tart. Honestly, I don't really get tart. I get raspberry. I love raspberries. So
I can't believe I forgot the name because it's an awesome name. Big Luscious.
that's right.
The raspberry stout.
Big
that's
Luscious.
right. The Big Luscious.
Yeah.
That was the other one. That was
a great
also a
name.
delicious one.
Yeah. So they do this whole raspberry thing, and the beers themselves are just very well done. Especially if you like raspberries, because each of them really captures the freshness of raspberries. And like you said, it's not even tartness; it's just accurate raspberry flavor. So if you like that, they're all very good. And I mean, you're not going to drink Rubaeus and talk about the hop profile on it.
At
but
15 IBUs.
that's right.
It's a potent one.
It barely has a hop profile. But it's a great beer. I especially like these raspberry beers in warmer temperatures as well. This is a great beer to drink on a warm day.
What I like about these kind of style of beers, getting into this category we're going to talk about today, is it really gives you. So say we all have those friends that'll, I'll go with you to a brewery, but I'll probably just get a glass of water or if they have a light one. Something like this is something that you could give literally any person that likes to drink alcohol. Like you like mixed drinks, you like hard ciders, you like hard seltzer water, like whatever.
Don't get that one.
But we have these fruit beers that, to your traditional beer drinker, they might turn their nose at it and say, that's not beer. It is, and it can add to that experience when you go to a brewery, you want to bring your loved one, your family members that normally wouldn't drink a beer, but they like fruit. And they've had EBC blueberry, which is fantastic, but there's other stuff out there. I like it for a fruit beer. Sorry, Dan. But you throw a Rubaeus out there, or a number of breweries in the area that have their fruit-related beers. Like, what's the Goza? Is it from Thin Man? That has that. What's it called? Minky Boodle. Yeah, okay. So
that thing looks like
beer.
a smoothie.
Yeah. All right. Or is it who goes there? Halt who goes there?
Halt who goes there.
42 North. Okay. Other beers that you could definitely, your typical beer-drinking beer person is not going to drink, but I would gladly have a glass.
The lemons, the peach, there's the raspberry, the lambics. Yeah, the lambics.
Yeah.
I turned on to so many people when they realized, wait, this is a beer? And I'm like, yes, it is. And, even if sometimes they're a little sweet, but even then you can, they're a great introduction to what beers can be. Mm-hmm. And it's more than just something bitter, which is what the first thing you usually hear. It's like, oh, it's, I don't really like the taste. And we've said it before on the show, when someone says to you, I don't like beer because it tastes like blank, there's a beer for everyone.
I hear challenge accepted. Like when someone says, oh, I don't drink beer, I go full, Barney Stinson on them. Like, okay, fine. I will find you one that you will drink then. Because, and it's not like trying to get someone drunk. No, it's just, that tells me you haven't tried that much. Maybe you had friends that got you a Miller Lite, a Coors Light, and you went down that alley and went barf. And then someone else said, oh, I'm a beer drinker, and gave you a bunch of IPAs and double IPAs, and you went, wow, that's freaking bitter. I can't take that. Now let me find you something else. There's a lot of other beer out there, and I think these non-beer tasting beers, as we're calling them, is a great avenue for people like that.
You could say beer lovers are on a spectrum.
We are.
And there's quite a number of people that I work with that don't drink beers usually. But I'll just talk about, especially gozas and sours. Ballyhoo is a place we'll go frequently in summer, and they always have Anderson Valley beers. They have a lot of great gozas, and they're always in stock at Ballyhoo. So when we go there for work, and these are friends who, there might even be a good cider on their tap list, because Ballyhoo usually does that, and they'll still choose this sour beer. It's a beer, technically. It's not hoppy, it's not a lager, it's nothing like that, but especially on a warmer day or even just a nice day, they'll actually choose this beer because it's a good fruity tasting sour.
That and the gozas, people I find, they just find them more refreshing. Mm-hmm. And there's just a time where you're just like, this just hit me the right way. Like, okay, I can keep going with this. And this past week was National Margarita Day. Was that what I think?
It was.
So I actually saw that one of the best things, I'm like, wow, how come I did not go out and get a bottle of tequila for this? But it was Dogfish Head, and it was the sequential ale. And they were rimming the cans with black sea salt and then taking a sip out of the can and then taking a shot of tequila and putting it in the beer. And I'm like, that is a genius idea.
They think of everything.
I'm like, God damn you, Sam Calgione, you beautiful man.
Did you say sequential ale?
Sequential?
Sequench.
Yeah, whatever.
Sequence.
But sequential is a phenomenal name for a beer. I would love to have a beer called sequential.
Math beer.
Math beer, exactly.
Yeah.
It would even have a super nerdy can label.
Next to your perpendicular IPA.
I take it, I claim it.
That goes off the top.
Doesn't it?
Although
That's a whole series.
Yeah.
I think Dogfish Head would still sue.
You could have your cosine. I'm going with more math terms. I don't teach math.
Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally.
If any of your math coworkers listen to this, they're going to be like, Tim, we got to talk.
Yeah, there's a lot more, you guys.
There's more to life than history books.
I was a terrible math student.
Pythagorean Pilsner. I don't know.
All right, not
Work in
great at
progress.
math, great at making up math beer names.
There we go.
All right, so the next one that we have on the table, going with the non-hoppy tradition here, we have Brute Fruit Gruit. It's a Gruit Ale. And I'm excited about this one. It comes to us from Swiftwater and Mortalis, and this is Logan, our dear editor's contribution.
Mortalis is that brewery. It's getting a lot of hype near Rochester,
Oh,
right?
and they deserve it.
Yeah, you've had some?
I've had they're coming into ABW a lot from our customers, and people are loving what they're doing.
That's all I'm hearing.
Now, Logan and I are the only two that I think have been fortunate enough to have had this beer. And It is a damn good one.
Oh, is this the one with no hops?
This is the no hop.
So a very nervous,
Gruit.
a nervous cheers
Why?
to a no hopped beer.
This is your brand of hops. Where are the hops?
And traditionally, gruits have been used, especially in either regions or times when hops were plentiful. So you have a bad harvest, something like that goes on. You're not in modern times. You still want to make your beer, so you just use other bittering agents instead of hops. Beer doesn't require hops as a bittering agent. It's just one of the best ones you can use, which is why it's used.
Are you spitting on the Reinskebot? 9!
I think this is delicious.
I'm not digging it as much. I'll be that countering opinion. I don't love the taste.
Why?
Because I'm German. No, I don't know.
Yeah, you know the last time that worked out for you guys?
Hey. We skipped that chapter.
Do I really have to go there? You know I will.
No, I know you will. Teach history. I don't skip that chapter. I teach them everything about it. I don't know. I'm not...
Is it too fruity for you?
That might be it. And I'm picking up on a weird fruit taste that's from a fruit I probably don't...
Guava.
Is it guava?
It's guava.
Okay. I'm like, there's some kind of weird fruit I'm getting here that I know I've tried when I was forced to try several different types of fruit.
This beer is a
California ones.
golden ale without hops, blended with over 2.5 pounds per gallon of guava, mango, and peach incorporated into the packaging. So
Yikes.
there's a lot going on fruit-wise with this beer.
Those are some of the smoothest fruits.
It's a lot of tropical flavors going on right there, and I immediately get guava and mango. I get all of them. But when he said there's something he doesn't like, and I think we've talked about Tim's taste in certain foods, I was like, it's got to be the guava.
I think Tim's aversion to delicious fruits is really coming into play here.
Pineapple guava. You don't like the tropicals, do you?
I like certain citrus flavors that come out of hop character, and obviously these fruit flavors are not coming out of hop character, so it's weird for me. And I guess it is just the
This is
the
like
guava.
fruit juice.
It is. It tastes like
this is
fruit
something you
juice.
could give someone, and I don't think they would immediately think beer. Which is
yeah. I think
This
this
is-
is similar with the Rubaeus. I don't
You
think
put
most
this
people would
in-
think beer when they hit that either.
You put this in the right container on a summer beach party or something like that. They're just going to think this is a mixed cocktail.
What is
An
the-
adults only beach party. Adults only.
No.
be clear.
Let's go back to when we were kids and our parents spiked the watermelon and made us all pass out. We all know our parents did it. I'm looking at you, Mom. I'm looking at you, Dad.
Dan's childhood is now up for question.
Yeah, there's. I think we just answered some questions.
Yeah.
About
Wow.
Dan's rearing.
No, my parents were good folks. I just remember having pool parties and parents would show up with like bottles of vodka and asking my parents to spike it so that the kids would fall asleep and the parents could party.
Damn.
Yeah.
I hope there's a lifeguard on duty.
Yeah. Doubtful.
They just let us float
Highly
around.
doubtful.
So the craziest thing about this thing that tastes like juice that's maybe a little bit bubbly, it's 8% ABV, which is insane
that's
that
mind-blowing.
amount of alcohol is in here.
That just, like, if this were one of those, like an RPG, it just gained experience points on that level. Because you cannot get... Yeah, I went nerdy on that one. I am not even close to tasting any amount of real solid alcohol. Like, obviously you can tell there's alcohol in it, but not 8%.
My favorite thing though is that as I look at it around the glass, there's pulp. There's physical pulp.
Yeah.
If
That's
I ordered
rimming
juice
my
without
glass.
pulp, what the hell?
And I'm like, this is incredible.
That's why Tim doesn't like
Which
Freaking pulp.
you
To my
think back to
teeth.
those days of like we've talked about a little bit like ciders and stuff like that of fermenting products and this being a style of just letting, and when it comes down to it, fermentation, you're letting it rot. Okay, you're letting something rot. Just taking fruit and water and just watching it turn, and then you decide I'm going to drink this, and it's delightful. Why, we have no idea.
Now, maybe you guys know, and I'm going to give a shout out to our one member who's not with us today for the first time. Alex, we miss you. So cheers to Alex. May he feel better and drink with us soon. Do you guys know, as far as when they're brewing a beer like this, when do they introduce all of that nasty or lovely guava?
Well, on what we read, they said just before packaging.
Oh.
So I'm assuming they're probably, I mean, if we're going off of that, I'm going to assume they're putting the puree in right at the end of the process. because that's when it's going to be the freshest. I mean, you're not going to want to boil all those flavors out because you'll lose so much of those characteristics that you want in that beer. And if you let it sit, then you can give it a chance to mingle with what's going on and ferment as well.
And that does match on the can. It says to keep as cold as possible.
Yes.
A lot of times it'll have a range that's not really cold, more like 40 to 50 degrees, or it doesn't matter if it's out on the shelf and not cold. But if it's near the end and these are perishable products that are in there like fruit,
Exactly.
you're going to have to, it's just like fruit in the store. You got to keep that in the cold section.
Yeah, because I'm assuming if this is to just, if you were probably going back and forth from a store that's warm to cold to, and back and forth temperature-wise, there's going to be some funky things going on in that can once you do get a chance to open it.
Well, this was delicious, and I think it's time to move on to the next part of our episode, which, keeping with the same theme of beers that don't taste like traditional beers, the rest of the stuff that we have is all from Decadent.
Decadence. Onwards to our non-beer, or non-tasting beers. I don't know.
Non-beer tasting
Well,
beers.
you can taste them.
Yes.
But they don't taste like beers.
No.
And this is also for Tim, number 2,000 on his Untapped record.
Of unique beers, yes.
Thank you, Dan.
Dan gave himself a heavy pour of this one.
Hey, Chris has done it enough to me.
So this is Decadent's Pecan Pie. Cheers, guys.
To 2,000.
Thank you. 2000.
Now,
Oh,
there
wow.
are a lot. I like the Decadent Ale series. I think they do some remarkable stuff. When they first came on, it was the double toasted marshmallow that I first had, and that what blew my mind on the characteristic. And they've come out with some other ones that have been phenomenal. From the French toast was the other one, and recently. So we've been hoping they've been getting more in, and they've been actually nice enough to, which I totally forgot about. They actually responded to a couple of our emails. They were really cool about it. And we were really hoping that we'd get more through distribution, and they fully came through.
Where are they based out of?
They are actually a New York-based brewery.
Okay.
And they just recently opened a new facility, I believe. And
Where, like you said, New York, but is it New York
New
City?
York
or?
City,
Okay.
I believe.
Gotcha.
Closer to New York City.
Damn, it's a drive.
I know. It saddened me too,
I
but
want to have pecan pie while I'm drinking this beer.
so they recently just finally put out, I think, seven different beers that just came out, including this pecan pie, a blueberry and strawberry frosted pastry, which we'll get to later on, as well as a mango coconut smoothie. And then they also had a tropical smoothie, a winter spiced French toast, and I'm trying to think of the last one, which is escaping me right now. I think out of all four of us, though, I'm the only one within the past week who's actually drank every single one of them.
Yeah, I think
Pretty
that's
cool.
safe.
Yeah, it's safe to say.
Yeah.
No, I don't like them. They're terrible.
I really like that they're living up to their name, Decadent Ales. Mm-hmm. I think every single one of their beers can be described as decadent.
Oh, they have pops.
It's delicious.
They're doing something that's fun and just different.
And we should say as well, so whereas these are not traditional beers by any stretch of the imagination, they are still IPAs, double IPAs. So whereas the flavors that they're using definitely come to the forefront, there is still some bitterness, there is still a hop profile. That stuff's all still there, but it's more just used as a backbone for a big, flavorful, like oddly flavorful beer.
Now, my question is, when brewing, are they putting in just straight pecans into some part of it?
I like to think
bringing
they're
out that flavor.
I like to think they're dumping actual pecan pies
yeah, they're
into
just
the mash.
taking the pie trays and dumping them in.
That'd be beautiful.
Wouldn't it?
So with pecans and maple syrup. Yes.
Maple syrup.
So
I knew I was getting something besides pecans in there.
That is a big prominent feature of pecan. I would say pecan pie, the brown sugar kind of taste behind it. Excuse me.
Maple syrup.
There is, well, I'm going to bring something up as we get to the next two beers that I picked up on some of their flavor profiles that I found a little off-putting.
Pudding.
So one thing I wanted to bring up with you guys is, I mean, the whole theme of tonight regarding beers that don't necessarily taste like beers, there's been a lot. So overall alcohol sales in the U.S. has actually been going down from 2017, 2018, and then
I had to.
Oh, you teacher, you.
I am. And a dad.
So that was fantastic.
You would think with the way this country is going, alcohol consumption would be going up.
I think so, but it's going down.
It's getting great.
And the thing is, the main thing leading it downwards is beer, which is unfortunate for us. Spirits and wine, they're still trending upwards, not as much as they were before. They're slowing, but they're still going upwards. Net-wise, beer is actually going down. And this is, it's an interesting trend overall. I think it was down 1% between 2017 and 2018.
Now, is that craft beer sales, overall beer, or macro
This
beer?
is ranking all beer sales.
Okay.
So the entire industry, less is being bought overall. A bit larger chunk of that is coming from those macro brews.
Damn vegans.
But overall,
kidding.
craft beer isn't immune. That being said, obviously there's going to be, not all craft breweries are equal. A lot of local breweries might be going up, whereas some bigger ones are going down. But they're affected as well.
I was just recently talking to a friend of mine, and he actually believes it's now starting to happen with the bubble is starting to burst. There's so many breweries that are being produced, and everyone's jumping on it thinking they can produce these products, and they realize they are not all on the same level. And you're also having a hard time with these phases of people who really do love beer keeping up with the demand, but what people like is if it's an IPA, there's only so many things you can do with the hops that are provided, and then someone else does it, and someone else, and they start to taste all the same. So it's kind of great when you see someone like Decadent or these guys who are doing something completely different that blow your mind and are willing to go outside the box and keep themselves separated, and you're like, okay, these guys aren't going anywhere. So I think you're starting to see that bubble start to crack a little bit, and those who are not able to keep up, they're going to start to see them disappear, and you'll see who's going to be standing. So.
Yeah. Well, and where I stand politically, that's how it kind of should go. Mm-hmm. Like when you have too much of something, eventually you're going to have people or companies lose out. And those that can't create awesome, intricate, interesting, delicious, decadent beers are going to find their way out. They're going to be on the outside looking in.
There's a fan base for there's a fan base. Everyone has their favorite brewery or something like that. But like we brought up earlier in the episode, when was the last time you drank your Brooklyn? When was the last time you drank a Sam Adams? When was the last, there's certain things, because you keep moving forward trying to find something either better or who's outdoing it, that you forget to go back. And you're like, well, yeah, it doesn't mean you didn't like it, but they're not also producing anything new that's not interesting to you, so you don't bother to go check them out again.
Mm-hmm. So almost like, and whereas the main the main slowing and negative zone is from macro brews, what you guys are saying is possibly craft beer itself is starting to diverge, and that you have the hyper-local breweries that people are going to, but then that's leaving out the national craft beer breweries like Sam Adams, like Dogfish, maybe like Stone, things like that.
Yeah, I haven't had a Stone in a long time.
No, and actually, I was
Stone.
shopping just today, and Stone, I wish I could remember the name. They just put out one that was next to the charred Chocovesa, which is a delicious delicious beer by but thinking of all those bigger breweries, like I think something like Dogfish Head, they're always going to have a place because they are willing to keep something non-traditional. That's how they started.
God bless you, 120.
And they were always looking towards ancient ales of how things were produced. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was the Peruvian one, the chewed corn. Chicha. What brewery is going to do that? They are.
Dogfish, absolutely.
They have their niche and they have a following that's strong.
Even them, though, a lot of that was over a decade ago. And recently, like, I'll see new things that they're trying out, and then it's in our Milton Head brewery only, or distribution is local only.
There's a couple
of a lot of their stuff that they're trying out doesn't really reach us, and I assume doesn't reach a lot of the nation.
Fruit Fort was one of them. I did buy that one, and I think they brought back Miles Davis Bitches Brew. But I'm trying to think of what the latest new one was.
They've been doing some variants on their old, like what we call
music
yellow
series.
caps, the music series, but then even like the was the Vanilla Bean Worldwide Stout. That was a couple
Yes.
years ago. And then this year, didn't they do a variant on 120? Did I mistake that? Or there's a variant on one of their bigger
They were
beers.
supposed to be doing something. I can't recall.
So they're mixing it up more because I think they're like Sam Caglione and the rest of the company is realizing, okay, people love us, but we got to keep mixing it up or else we're going to be left behind. I mean, look at the way, was it Sam Cook, who does the Sam Adams? I always mispronounce his last name. Like he even said in an interview once, and I don't have the date, so don't cite me on this, but something like he feels passed over. And it's like, okay, because you made something great that people love, Boston Lager, and some other off ones and the Rebel IPA and things like that, but they haven't kept up with the trends that keep emerging in craft beer. They're still a good standalone, but it's just they haven't kept up with the emerging trends that come out of local craft breweries. Jim, sorry, not Sam.
Yeah.
My bad. You know.
So
Jim,
the main reason I brought that up is I've seen some things recently about trying out new things. Basically, it's like, okay, so if traditional beers aren't necessarily selling as well, or traditional macro beers aren't selling as well anymore, let's try out some different things. From a macro beer perspective, that might be like diversifying their portfolios, getting into some wine or some spirits. But also from a craft beer perspective, I think a lot of this stuff is just starting to eat up that space. If there's, if you're not really going to buy as much tasting beer as you were before, but you want to experiment and try out some new things, everything we've had tonight is definitely on the table for you.
There's something that I'm starting to see when it comes to beer that's taking over, and it is the fruit characteristic, which does not necessarily means it comes to hops, but when it comes to sours, beers, and I'm also starting to see the ciders. Ciders are becoming hugely popular amongst a lot of people in terms of cider houses being put up, and because you can do a lot more, and it's just fermentation of fruit. So I'm kind of interested to see where that shift starts to lead towards, especially going into the summertime when maybe, because especially right now, I'm not drinking that many stouts. I used to drink a lot of stouts, barley wines, and during the wintertime, I don't think I've had a barley wine yet.
It's been a while. Yeah.
So speaking of fruity, let's move on to our next one. Also, as we mentioned, the next few are going to be from Decadent because they've put out a lot of these fruity and really interesting like unbeer beers. The next one is Blueberry Frosted Pastry. I'm really excited about this one. Dan, I think you said you've had this?
I have, and actually we're going to be doing the next one after this is the Strawberry Frosted Pastry. And the description on their cans is actually very similar with, except for the fruit, it is still, I believe, a double IPA with cinnamon and allspice.
Correct. And obviously blueberries.
They are. I've noticed on a couple of their cans they keep using allspice for a lot of things, but there's a distinctive flavor that I keep picking up on, and we'll see how the other guys feel about it because I've already had it.
If I were to venture a guess, Dan, I think they're trying to make sure that although they cleverly avoided calling themselves, obviously for copyright reasons, the Pop-Tart beer. They're trying to give you that kind of sweet, not quite sugary taste of that outer crust of the Pop-Tart that you broke off or ate first so you got to the better part. Or even like that frosting. Because we all know the actual fruit content of a Pop-Tart is like 0.2%. All right, don't quote me on that so Kellogg's doesn't sue me. But
no, we'll get free Pop-Tarts to prove this so they can prove us wrong.
That's right. But they definitely add a ton of sugar, and there is always that crust, like on bread of a Pop-Tart.
Tim, you just owned breakfast, didn't you? These are strategies born of somebody who knew what they were doing when they went into breakfast as a kid.
Tim went around and nibbled the crust off the entire edge of this Pop-Tart before going into the center of it.
I don't want any crust in my brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tart. Get out of here.
Tim goes in. He's like, my center to outer ratio must be like 4-1, so I need to break off 0.3 centimeters here of crust.
So I don't know if you guys will pick up on it, but the thing that I keep picking up is, and it goes back to the pecan pie, is the maple characteristic. And having their double toasted marshmallow, I know they've been able to get almost that burnt characteristic in their beers. So what I'm looking for is that in that pastry is almost that like you said, that outer edged crust. And I'm like, I'm not picking it up, but I'm getting this maple taste. And I don't know if that's what's trying to substitute for this pastry kind of going, because I get a little bit of vanilla. I get that. But the thing that I'm also not getting is, and I don't know why it's there because I don't remember it in my Pop-Tarts, is the cinnamon and allspice. I'm very confused on the cinnamon and allspice, and I should have picked up a box of Pop-Tarts because I want to know if there's cinnamon and allspice in Pop-Tarts.
Maybe they're trying to push for better Pop-Tarts. They want allspice and cinnamon in every Pop-Tart because you think about it, cinnamon sugar is the end-all best one. I think we can all agree.
I was a blueberry fan.
I concur.
Okay, thank you.
Cinnamon and sugar?
Yeah.
No, the brown sugar.
Brown sugar cinnamon. Sorry. Pop-Tart.
It's just a brown sugar.
What?
It was a brown sugar.
What are you the Oreo Pop-Tart guy? That's a dessert.
I was
That's
a
not even
classic strawberry blueberry with the rainbowy kind of.
I like the mixed berry.
The mixed berry was a good one too.
That always felt like your parents were trying to hide fruit and good tasting food.
I'm sorry. And
Again,
let's
remember,
be honest
picky
here.
eater
If you
doesn't
got
know how to
really
fruit you.
fancy, let's be honest. The toaster strudel was better.
I got to go with Mr. I'm weird about fruit on this one. I'm also a big fan of the brown sugar.
Please don't let that name stick.
See, I dated a girl who liked the brown sugar Pop-Tarts to the point
Yeah,
where
she liked that brown sugar.
Yeah,
Yeah, she
God.
did.
But she'd put butter on them when they were done.
She'd put butter on that brown sugar. Just slather it on.
Oh God. Whatever made her happy.
Giggity.
And I realized at that point, I'm like, you already took something that was somewhat delicious. Why the butter? And I realized if I eat this, I'm going to die. I'm going to die an early death. And I was just turned off to the brown sugar Pop-Tart. She wasn't, though.
Oh, I bet she was. It's probably doubled down.
Oh, yes, she did.
She went for
That's
seconds.
So honestly, I can't tell if, since you brought that up, I can't tell if that flavor is because we just finished up the pecan pie one or if it's from the blueberry one. But also throwing allspice into every one, that might just be, they might have got that flavor and they're like, fuck it, let's just put allspice on these cans. That way if people taste it, or if they taste that kind of like cinnamony or spicy flavor, that's an explanation.
I like allspice. I use it, I just don't know if I'm picking it up because I'm confused. And honestly, when I had the first beer out of the series I had was the blueberry pastry. And when I had it, I did taste it and I'm like, huh. And then I think the last one was actually pecan pie. So I had this in the reverse of what we're tasting. And when I tasted it, I'm like, I keep tasting it. I'm like, did they just make a beer, put this in this vat, and just someone didn't clean it out? And there's just maple syrup residue on the inside of that barrel or something, and I wasn't sure.
So
It crystallized in the inside of the fermenter.
one of the things I'm not necessarily getting is too much blueberry, which is very odd, especially since, so the pecan pie, I was tons of pecan and maple. And I've had other decadent beers, and they were, like, whatever the flavor was just hitting me in the face. This almost seems more like a double IPA with a hint, maybe, of blueberry. And allspice. But that's it. This is the first one we've had tonight where I thought this is a double IPA. And then there's some other flavors kind of mixed in. Everything else was flavors first, and then maybe there was a hot profile in the background.
Maybe the question is now, how does the strawberry stack up?
Let's try it out, Dan.
Yes, we should.
So next up is the strawberry frosted pastry from Decadent Ales. So cheers, guys.
I'm going to let these guys take this one and see what they think before I say anything.
No,
Doesn't work.
does not.
You're hanging out with the wrong girls, Tim. So my first reaction is similar to my comments for the blueberry one. I don't get that much strawberry.
I was going to say the same thing.
And that's both the nose and the taste. Like, some beers are one or the other. You smell it, but then you taste a hot profile, or you smell not that much, and then you taste the big flavor. Here, I'm not getting much strawberry anyway.
I'm definitely getting more strawberry than I got blueberry, but it's almost artificial strawberry.
Oh, interesting.
And I don't know if that's because of the allspice blend and whatever else is in there, especially with like the bittering of the double IPA and whatnot. Strawberry. I mean, I've never had a beer with strawberry before, I don't think, besides maybe a lambic. And this is way different than that. So yeah, I'm definitely getting way more strawberry than I got blueberry, but it's a weird strawberry.
So again, shout out to Alex, who's not here. He's made a strawberries and cream beer.
Which is fantastic, Alex.
It is, and I really like the strawberry in that. So that is more of a natural taste than this. Once you mention that, I do get, because I mean, I got some strawberry, but it wasn't that much. It might have been because it was just a bit artificial, so I was just interpreting it as sweetness.
Which
But,
I'll
yeah,
say,
I know what you're talking about.
Which I'll say goes to what I would say is the Pop-Tart essence of the beer. You look at the actual ingredients, and it doesn't have a whole lot of the actual fruit. You're getting artificially sugar-laced up fruit, which is tasty to kids and adults that like Pop-Tarts, this guy included. But it's not actual fruit, which I'm guessing is some of the strawberry extract as compared to actual strawberry in the beer.
Extract, natural flavor, quote unquote,
Yes.
with air quotes.
Part of this nutritious
or
breakfast.
Even artificial flavor. You'll see that on the labels.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Fine print.
Hear Tim talk more about breakfast. This is your Brain on Breakfast, a new spin-off podcast.
It's the most important meal of the day.
Your brain on eggs.
I hate eggs, actually. So
What the hell do you eat?
waffles.
Pop-Tarts.
All right, I
Waffles?
love waffles.
Yes.
On your Brain on
Maple
Breakfast,
syrup.
so you can get Tim's hot take on eggs.
It's just Tim sitting there
Brunch
with
at New York Beer Project. I recommend their waffles
Tim's hot
and French
cake.
toast. They have French
Tim's
toast.
hot take on hotcakes.
Be honest,
Fine, I'll do
listeners. You would tune in for this podcast. I know I would.
Sponsored by Tim Hortons Timbits.
There we go. So, all right. Speaking of bad segues,
Oh, we're really gonna leave this because
I have I have a topic I wanted to bring up with you guys. So recently we were talking
Tim's
about
toast with sugar.
shotgunning beers. Traditionally, it's done with macro brews. I mean, if you're gonna do that, typically the venue you do that is with a macro brew. But a twist on it, especially since so many craft beers nowadays are canned and distributed by cans, and obviously cans are one of the main ingredients of shotgunning. Not the only, but one of the main. So if you could shotgun a craft beer, and it has to be available in a can, so no 120 shotguns. As much as I'd love to,
there will be
can't
a
do
day that we
will
get
kill you.
120
One day
in a can.
maybe, but it has to be a craft beer that actually is distributed in a can, which is a lot of craft beers. But what would you want to shotgun that's a craft beer in a can, in a 16-ouncer?
It has to be a 16 ounce.
No, it can be a 12-ouncer.
I mean, to start with, okay. I was gonna I'm going to change the rules of this question. With
He's like, by shotgunning, I'm going to mean drink with a
so
straw.
to me-
and by can, I'm going to mean bottle. And I choose 120.
So to
alter it so he gets what he wants.
So to me, if you're going to be shotgunning a beer, the only time I've ever been challenged to really shotgun a beer is always at a Bills game. That's the only time I'm in a parking lot and it's like 9 a.m. and I'm gonna do this for some reason, and so it's always some domestic brew. That being said, having to shotgun a craft beer, there's only one beer that I can see myself doing for some reason, and I decided to take it one step higher. Recently, there's been a selection of beers and breweries, Dogfish Head, Lagunitas, and Founders, that have been putting out the 19-ounce
As soon as
cans.
you said,
And I'm going to go with All Day IPA. The smokestack.
Good for you.
Because if I'm going to go, I'm going in.
Mistakes.
Funny thing, I've seen somebody do that. There's an old coworker of ours from ABW, Wesley.
Oh, yes, that's right. He
Actually
did do it.
did one of those behind the bar. There's a video going around somewhere. Sorry, Wes.
of all day?
He did a shotgun of a 19.2 ounce Founders All Day IPA.
Wow.
And he said he's never felt worse in his life.
well, cheers to Wesley.
To Wesley.
Cheers to that. So for me, if I'm going to be shotgunning a craft beer, I'm not going to want to play it safe. I'm going to try to get In the words of Rick, riggedy riggedy wrecked. So I would go with a Molotov cocktail from Evil Twin.
Damn!
Boozy, I think 12-something%.
Is it even going to feel good going down?
No, it's going to hurt. But
you just want that pain.
I'm going to want that pain, just like Rick. I'm just going to be like, fuck it. We're doing this. Molotov cocktail. Not even Molotov light. Molotov
life
cocktail.
means nothing. You're all worthless.
Drink a beer. Shotgun a craft beer. That's right.
All right. Well, Dan kind of took mine, but there was a secondary option I had, which is I'm going to take the lighter route on this one. Buddy of mine, shout out to a listener who's been listening to for a while now, my friend Ryan, from my high school days. But we both tried the Big Ditch FC for our city, their football club beer, the wheat IPA, the session wheat IPA. It's a lighter one. I think I could handle that. Maybe I'm a bit more of a wuss than you guys, I'll admit it. But it's a tasty, lighter beer from Big Ditch that I do enjoy. And I feel like I could handle actually doing a shotgun of that beer. And I love the soccer element to it, being a diehard soccer fan. Glory, glory, Man United fan that I am. So that's my pick.
Logan?
All right. This is a beer that I've mentioned before on this podcast too, and this would be difficult, but I've got a few left. I could probably pull it off, and probably be one of the only people that really liked it. This was a real 50-50 on this beer for people in the Buffalo area. They either loved it or absolutely hated it. It was from Pressure Drop. It was called Dank Sinatra.
Oh, I haven't
It
had that
was
yet.
thick, dank, hotly hoppy IPA, and I thought it was amazing. And God, to shotgun one of those thick, dank, burn your throat with hops IPAs. I'll send you.
The cops would just pull you over because you smell like weed. They wouldn't have alcoholism. You just smell like pot.
I've got a couple cans that've got to be going on 3-4 months old right now left, and I'll send you the video.
I haven't had that one yet, actually.
I did not get one either.
Yeah.
Those might be a little safer if they're not as green. Less sharp glass going down your throat.
You would think that. I had one 2 weeks ago. It mellowed the way that like a normal hot and sharp hoppy green IPA
It's
would.
where it should be now.
It mellowed the way a normal one would mellow after like a week. And it's been like 4 months.
Wow.
They are still hot. It tastes green. It's just an unbelievable IPA.
I thought I was going
I
for
loved
pain with Molotov
yeah.
cocktail.
You went for
but
booze.
You went for
Okay.
abrasiveness. That's
He went for hops. You went for booze. You went for something that's going to knock your ass out.
Yeah, the Molotov is twice the
Wait,
alcohol.
no, hold
that
on. No, I gotta. No, hold on. You said you
That's
want to
true.
make it hurt. I gotta say shenanigans. You missed one. You said no Molotov light. You said Molotov cocktail. There's a Molotov heavy, sir, in a can. Do you want to change that answer?
no.
You're going all in for pain and riggedy right. You're not going to up the ante to the Molotov heavy.
I'm not trying to maximize pain. I'm trying to achieve pain.
You don't think Molotov heavy would do it?
No, that would achieve awfulness.
All I'm thinking about is you just completely blackout drunk, and it's I just watched Rick and Morty today.
first of all,
I'm thinking of.
I'd have to keep drinking to get blackout drunk. Shotgunning a Molotov cocktail is not going to achieve that.
Can I just mention real quick that Molotov cocktail is a 12-ounce can at 12-point-something%, and Molotov heavy is a 16-ounce can at 17-point-something.
You want to make it? You want to go Rick? You go that.
All right, I'm not going to deny it. I'll go Molotov heavy.
You shit your pants and you don't remember anything the next day.
Yeah, but I defeat one of the scourges of the galaxy all in the process.
While destroying everyone's faith in humanity.
Which is just super easy, by the way. I don't know why the Vindicators would have taken so long.
I realized I could have just done your entire job within a week.
Oh, speaking of decadent beers,
I don't watch Rick and Morty. I'm
we
sorry.
have one more beer from Decadent for this episode, and that is mango coconut smoothie. I'm really looking forward to this one.
More
I
fruit,
have not
great.
had this one yet.
I'm kidding. Now, I will say mango is not a fruit I would typically eat ever. But when I went on an educational tour with students of mine to Costa Rica, we went to a fruit farm where they had fresh mango.
Tim was writhing in agony.
Yeah, I know. Part of me was
Where's my Pop-Tart?
I'm gonna hate this, and then they got some fresh mango from a tree, which I didn't know there are different varieties of mango. Did you guys know this?
Yes, I
Yeah.
did.
Well, damn. But I'm not a guy. Again, I don't eat the stuff.
Like
But he cut it
apples, there's
fresh.
only one kind of apple,
No,
right?
there are many. That I know. I love apples.
Watermelons works the
All
same way.
Anyway, and he cut me the guy cut me a fresh mango right from the tree, and it was delicious. So hopefully this beer is too.
You know what? Cheers to Tim enjoying a smooth tropical fruit.
Oh, God.
Here's to Tim trying new things.
My wife would be proud.
Now, I've actually had this one on tap at ABW. I'm trying to remember when it came out last. It has been a while, but now that they put it in cans, I was looking forward to it because it was a good one.
I am getting exactly as described. Big time mango taste, but that coconut comes in right in the back.
Yeah, it's
knocking
literally
on the
double
door.
IPA with mango and coconut added. There's no sugarcoating anything. There's no allspice in this one.
You got 2 empty yards of coconuts, and you're bagging them together. I was just saying, no one on the Monty Python
I got it.
reference.
I just didn't
Come
want
on,
to say
God
it.
damn it.
I got a lovely bunch of coconuts.
No, not that.
I don't like coconut.
Consistency,
Now, do
texture,
you not like
flavor.
it in this beer?
Mostly flavor.
Oh, okay.
So because of that, no, I'm not enjoying this beer.
Oh.
Do you,
The coconut is definitely heavy on the back end, which makes sense. I can tell that's exactly what they were going for. Fruity, juicy kind of mouthfeel, heavy coconut, nice smoothie-like on the end. And I don't like it because it's a lot of coconut after I swallow the beer. And it's just like,
See, I love coconut, and I like even fresh coconut. And as much as people like, because I've heard people say to me before, like it's just a pain in the ass to get fresh coconut, which to me is like half the fun of trying to open one because I just break out a machete and I just start hacking away. and
you're just
can't
happy
karate
because you
chop
get to
20
use
of them.
sharp things.
I get to use sharp things. I'm not safe about it. I'm like, no, it's like challenge.
You keep your cutting board. I'm just
Yes.
going to go.
Let me reach under my couch and grab a sharp thing.
That
Now,
may have
anyone
happened
that's
once
seen
or twice
Dan's
in my
table
house.
knows how that works.
Dan, why is there a knife in the middle of the floor? Wait, why is there another one? It's in the wall.
What is your dining room table if so many gouges in it? Hey, the coconut was opening, man.
Quick aside, the favorite thing to be stuck into Dan's wall went hilt first. That was the best knife throw I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, yeah.
Super dangerous to get out.
No. Chris, I gotta take that back. That was not the best throw we've seen. Best throw goes to our wonderful friend Sam for taking one of my size and throwing it, perfect throw, right through the drywall. I have never seen something more beautiful. All three. Just right through it. Raphael from the Ninja Turtles could have done it better.
The Sam that I know?
That was impressive.
Yes.
All right. Cheers, Sam.
Cheers, Sam.
And your ninja throwing technique.
So since we are near the end of our episode, wanted to wrap up with our traditional segment, What Have You Been Drinking? So this has gone to a lot of different places. Alex's home brews, some local breweries, to really just some far out things. So starting up, what have you been drinking lately? Let's head over to Daniel.
Well, I had an answer for this, and I'm going to still throw that into the ring. But actually, you know what? I've been going local, and I've been going out to Windy Brew, and I've been enjoying a lot of their beers. It's just a fun place to go to that I just thought was really kind of low-key, and he does a good job. So
Where is Windy Brew?
It is down in Wyoming County, just off of Route 20, like just as soon as you enter the town line.
Like 10 minutes from my parents' house.
Yes.
So why I love it is because it's 10 minutes from my parents' house. And for those that don't know, my parents live in the middle of nowhere. So unless you're a friend of mine, you wouldn't know that. It's
Structuresville.
nothing out there until you drive 20 more minutes into East Aurora or like a half hour anywhere else. And when I found out, we had a friend's wedding was out there in Hidden Valley, that animal park. And we were like, okay, we got some time between wedding and reception. What do? We got to go check something. So my wife, being the amazing woman that she is, said, are there any breweries around? And I said, do you know we're in the middle of nowhere? She said, just check. Sure enough, what shows up? A Windy Brew. And we went, and it was fantastic. They all asked why we were so overdressed to go to a brewery, but they were very friendly, very nice, and had some. It was good beer. Nothing stood out as like a fantastic. Like it was really recently they had just opened, but it was stuff that you see that one in the middle of nowhere that's out in like the hills of Wyoming County. You're like, okay, what are they really going to have? I was very impressed because it was some tasty beer.
So this is an interesting. So I got to talk to the bartender, and I actually got to meet him and the owner's Bill. I'm gonna get his name wrong. I just know it. Anyway, 21 taps that they have going for a brewery that's literally built out of this man's garage.
Yeah.
Food. They have wine. Like there's something for everyone. It's just a small, cool kind of place to just walk into out of nowhere. They're in Struckersville, New York. And then when I was even in there, they mentioned, oh no, they're popping up. Like we have 3 more breweries in Struckersville. I was like, wait, there's 2. Wait, what? And she's like, yeah, there's one going this way, and then there's one on the other side out of Struckersville. So we never actually compete or do anything. So it doesn't really, no one really cares. And I was like, that's freaking awesome that I'm this close and I haven't ventured out that much. But I got the Windstorm Cat from them, and Alex actually got a growler. And what's awesome about them is that most places will do a crowler machine of 32 ounces. They actually just have a canning machine, which they will individually do 16-ounce cans. And you can just get a 4-pack of whatever you want and just break it up a little bit more. The second beer, which is true to my heart because we all know how much I love Jack's Abbey, is Jack's Abbey came out with Citra, which was just a dry-hopped, straightforward lager. Nothing else. I think I've bought like 3 6-packs of that already, and I think I'm down to 2 cans.
So the answer to what you've been drinking is a lot.
I was going to ask. I'm like, Dan, it's a simple question.
There's no simple answer, though, Tim.
This is true. Touche.
Tim, what have you been drinking
The
lately?
list is actually longer than that.
I've been drinking courtesy of my brother-in-law, Dan. Got me for Christmas. It's the Young Lion Double IPA. What?
Nothing. Keep going.
Different brother-in-law this time. My sister's husband, Dan, got me the Young Lion Double IPA, which they were actually at Buffalo on Tap recently, that brewery. But their Double IPA is a good standard. I initially tried one and wasn't overly impressed at the first taste, but the next 3 cans went down much smoother. But it's a very good beer, and one that, you're always looking, every now and then, you always grab that create your own, and you shove a whole bunch of random beers in there that you haven't tried yet. But I think I would definitely go back and grab a 4-pack of that if I saw it in a store. And that's how you do a quick response, Dan.
You interjected. You interjected with your story.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Because Windy Brew is actually near. Okay, Chris gets to work 5 minutes walking distance from anything that tastes good, and my
Still
parents.
talking, Tim.
My parents live 12 minutes to 10 from Windy Brew. I got to enjoy one moment in the sun there.
Speaking of working 5 minutes from 5 different Buffalo
Well done,
breweries,
Chris.
I am going to answer similar to Dan in that it's more of a brewery. I've been drinking Beltline Brewery recently. They just started up. They're in Larkinville. Really, really great location for me, being 5 minutes from work, Tim. And they've had a lot of great beers.
thoroughly.
A couple of my favorites have been a beer with Nelson, which is made with Nelson Sauvin, and it is just so good. It's a creamier beer, great hop profile. And then the other one is Main Course, which is a New England style hazy IPA that I've really been impressed with. It's been pretty solid. So I'm happy about that brewery. It's a pretty neat space. Go check it out if you're in the Buffalo area. And they just started serving food a couple weeks ago. So that's all been a success. They keep adding new things to their menu because they just opened up within the past couple months. So it was a soft open phase for a while, and now they're really getting into their groove. So
Stop
go
and
check
say hi to
out
Chris at
Beltline
work.
Brewery. So for our last What We've Been Drinking, I want to kick it over to our editor, Logan. What have you been drinking?
So I've been doing local as well. It's a little early in the season, I guess, but I've really been into some of the heavier sours that a lot of the local breweries have been doing. I mean, I've always been a fan of Minky Boodle. The first edition of Hall 2 Goza there from 42 North was amazing. Mm-hmm. And so for what I've been drinking this week, comes out of Big Ditch, their new Berry Vision, which is a blueberry, raspberry, lactose, and oat sour. And the body on this thing's incredible. The sour from the raspberry and the yeast is on point. It is absolutely delicious and absolutely ranks up there with some of the best local sours. They knocked it out of the park with this one, and that's what I've just been drinking that out of growlers pretty much the whole time. So for the last 4 or 5 days, because it was just released.
Sloan's running around. He's just got a growler in one hand, kid in another.
And you thought I was drinking a lot.
She would pour it out of the growler for me if she knew how, honestly.
So would Landon. Daddy juice.
All right. A lot of local stuff for what I've been drinking. That's pretty great.
Cheers to you, Buffalo.
Cheers to you, Buffalo. All right, so I think we've neared the end of our episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Definitely check us out on social media. We're on Facebook, Your Brain on Hops. We're on Instagram and Twitter at Brain on Hops for both of those. Definitely leave comments. Let us know what you think. Dan is still waiting for a troll war, so feel free to just leave comments ripping on him, and he will respond. So again, thank you so much for listening, and cheers, everyone.